turn the page in the air.
As many of you are probably aware, a ROM hack is in the works to bring Mario into the world of Ocarina of Time. Or Ocarina of Time. It doesn't matter. What does matter is that now is a good time to talk about the original game, as the ROM hack which is based on it is scheduled to come out, like, whenever. So now that I've justified myself, it's time to review the game. Ready? Go. Ocarina of Time follows Dickhead on his quest to save Hyrule. He is awakened from a nightmare by this white circle with wings, who is uncompromisingly annoying. Dickhead learns that he is destined to leave the forest where he grew up to consult Princess Zelda and save the land, and that's exactly what he does. The end. As Link, it is your duty to trek the vast land of Hyrule and traverse through many distinct dungeons to find 8-ish shiny spiritual relic things. Each dungeon has a distinct and intensely vivid atmosphere, and this is owed to the masterful graphics and soundtrack. Even though the graphics are technically dated, the art direction is impeccable and shines through. But the music fucking sells it, man. Every song fits its respective level perfectly. The Dodongo's Cavern has that echoey soundtrack that perfectly fits the cave scenario while the sound of bubbling lava is heard. The stupid fucking water temple has that chilling, mysterious, almost ambient soundtrack that makes you contemplate the vast depth of the water while making you fear what you can't see. But then you got the Shadow Temple. Every part of this temple feels like a carefully articulated and well thought out assault on all that is good and holy. The old N64 graphics have managed to create an atmosphere that is still uncompromisingly horrifying. The graphics are dark, there's blood everywhere, the music sounds like the souls of thousands of long dead people constantly harassing you about the inevitability of your own death. What about your other senses? If the N64 was capable, it would produce the stench of moldy, rotting corpses so heavy that you could taste it if you made the mistake of opening your mouth. I'd like to apologize if any of you were planning on eating just now. The atmosphere is still great in the overworld, especially Hyrule Field. The theme sounds like the musical embodiment of high adventure. But the best thing about it is when you stay idle, the music actually changes to a more relaxed version of the theme. And when you engage an enemy, it changes to a more dramatic take on it. It's seriously good. You know what other game changes music to suit the scenario? Banjo-Kazooie. This game is just absolutely full of personality. Remember Zelda 2 when there were just these assholes that would literally go like, "Sorry, I know nothing." Never happens in this game. The characters are largely distinct from one another and often they're genuinely funny. I love Dampé. When you're a kid, he's just this creepy old dude who maintains the graveyard. But when you're an adult, he's dead and his ghost is like, "Hey, let's race and I'll give you the hook shot." Then you got Mario and Luigi who run the farm. You got your serious characters too. Sheik's always throwing beautiful poetry at you. I fucking love the characters in this game. It's not without its generic cookie cutter characters either, like these dickheads that sell you stupidly overpriced arrows, but it's still pretty awesome. The game rewards exploration generously. There's a ton of collectibles. There's upgrades for your wallet, arrows, swords, there's the golden sculptulas, the heart containers, extra equipment, there's all kinds of shit. You don't necessarily need everything, but it'll make it way easier in a lot of cases. Occasionally, you'll even have more than one way to do things. Tell me, what would you rather do? Climb up this deadly wall of hazards, or just hookshot that bitch? The time travel is possibly the best part of the game. You travel forward 7 years and explore the same world that you once knew and loved, to see that it's been demolished and that there's zombies and shit everywhere. It really is a metaphor for real life. As a kid, you're expected to be carefree and to have a fairly naive and happy, simplistic worldview. It's not until you start to grow up that people generally realize how complex and scary the real world can be. Death, destruction, hatred, this fucking thing, it's messed up. It's funny, the game makes you identify with this guy who's a kid, who basically becomes a grown man without the experience and knowledge that you'd get from growing up, and yet he's simply expected now to act like an adult. I can even relate to this. I'm just now realizing that I'm in my 20s, and all I can say is, what the fuck happened? I was totally fine like a few years ago, and now it's all like, what the fuck? The lore in this game is impressive. Even outside the main story, there's dialogue and subtle references that reveal very interesting things. Remember this guy? It's suggested that he was once a normal human who lived in a house where the well is. Hell, you should read the theories on Bongo Bongo. Now, is there anything I don't like about this game? Well, I'm not a fan of pre-rendered 2D rooms. I can forgive that because it's an old game, but one thing that triggers the fuck out of me is text speed. You're not always allowed to skip text boxes, which wouldn't be so bad if the text was relatively quick, but it's not. I especially hate talking to the fucking owl. You're always mashing A, hoping in vain that the text will go faster, but at the very end, he asks you if you want him to repeat what he said, and if you're still pressing A like a madman, he starts the lecture all over again. This might just be enough to keep me from giving this game a perfect score. Ocarina of Time isn't my favorite video game of all time or even my favorite Zelda game of all time, but I fucking love it. And it's frankly not difficult to understand why so many people find this to be the best game ever. It certainly is a triumph, and one of the best games on the N64. It's a fantastic adventure that you absolutely must play for yourself, if for some buttfuck ass backwards reason you haven't already. It's magnificent. But hold up. As I said, it's not my favorite Zelda game. That would be Majora's Mask. This game is fucking awesome, and as far as I'm concerned, multiplied everything Ocarina of Time did by 10. But hold up, this isn't even my favorite video game of all time. That would be Earthworm Jim 3D. This game is a phenomenal achievement.